growing up in Texas, when, we used to ride our horse to the gas station, climb up on a handicap sign, right? Like, this is like a true story for real. So that's like how I grew up. And then, obviously like 20 years later, I like go back to visit Houston, and it's like a completely different place, right? All the pastures are gone, all the cows are gone. There's like apartments everywhere. The culture is different because there are a lot of transplants. So like the way we grew up, it wasn't the same culture, I would have to the ropes, if you will. And then I'm out here in Richmond. It's a smaller city, and it kind of reminded me of what Houston kind of used to be. Definitely. So I'm not, it is the South, right? But there are like cultural aspects of growing up Southern that Richmond doesn't necessarily have, but it is still the South, right?
Listen, learn, get inspired. I'm Tavis Bryant, and this is BBQ Therapy. Like, subscribe, and follow to help grow the barbecue therapy community. Also, visit my website at www.bbqtherapypodcast.com.
Bring on down, barbecue, your barbecue on. Get your barbecue on. Get your barbecue on.
Welcome to the Barbecue Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant. And on today's episode, it's about discipline, identity, and purpose. My guest is a retired United States Marine who took everything he learned in uniform, structure, accountability, service, and carried it straight into the pit room. He's the owner and pit master of Dress Blue Barbecue in Richmond, Virginia, where Texas-style smoke meets Marine Corps standards and community comes first. This isn't just barbecue. This is leadership. This is legacy. This is service through fire. Tex Hill, welcome to the Barbecue Therapy. I got one rule: make yourself at home and speak freely.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, no problem. And thank you for your service also. And I want to start off back when you were young as well as your teenage years. Where were you born, and what was the food scene around your household as well as just regular food, and when were you introduced to barbecue if you were growing up?
So I'm originally from Houston, Texas, and just organically where I'm from, the level that you have barbecue is just really high. I come from a family of pit masters. I've been smoking barbecue since I was about 8. I got 2 boys. They're 6 and 9, and they already started smoking barbecue as well. We just grow up in the culture of
Hmm.
pit master and fire management and things of that nature. Where I'm from originally, again, growing up in Houston, Texas, my daddy lived out in the country. My mom lived in the city, and it was kind of the best of both worlds, and it was really just brought up around the fundamentals of fire. It's just who we were as people, a family of pitmasters.
Okay. And was it back then? Was it something that you wanted to do, or were you made to go out there and learn, or how did that go?
It was, again, growing up just kind of back in the country. My grandfather, he was always smoking barbecue. I always hung out with him a lot. We used to process some animals a lot back then. I was like his right hand man. So anytime something was going on, I naturally just gravitated towards being outside. And barbecue's obviously outdoor sport. Just being outside, hanging out with my family.
Okay. And what kind of pits were they cooking on?
So we all had 1,000 gallon offsets. It's like the standard where I'm from. Even if you weren't producing, barbecue at a commercial level, just that's what
Mm.
everyone had, 1,000 gallon offset, right? Every time we had a family reunion, or I mean, really any good reason, right? If the weather's nice outside, everybody just showed up, and like we all throw some splits on the fire and get after it, really.
So how did what made your decision to join the Marine Corps?
So I joke and say, shiny buttons, but honestly, I played football growing up, my entire like high school career, and football in Texas is a real big deal. Like even if your team isn't good, you practice like you are, And that discipline and rigidness is something that I wanted to continue. I wanted to continue on with that, and I ended up going to college for about a year, and I realized like college wasn't necessarily for me at the time. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that the discipline and confidence that came from the Marines that I saw, I knew I wanted that. So I naturally just gravitated towards it.
And when you joined, were you all over the place, over the world, or was you stationed in the U.S.? How did that go?
So my service is not traditional because I was stationed all over the world, right? Like I did the embassy security program. So we started off in the Marine Corps, just stationed on the West Coast, and then that's when I really got traveling a lot. We were stationed in India, Brazil, Uganda, and just being stationed there and traveling all over the world doing, missions, doing security, embassies across the world. It was definitely a great experience. Reacclimating myself to being stateside. It's like when you live overseas for so long, there's like things about the United States that you forget, like the culture almost, right? So just getting
Mhm.
reacclimated to that. And then I ended up commissioning, finishing my degree, going OCS, became a Marine Corps officer, and then getting stationed in Hawaii. So we were out there for a while. And then from Hawaii, we came out here to Richmond, Virginia. And this is where I decided to hang my hat at, if you will.
Okay. So, what made you choose Virginia? Was it something about there?
So, growing up in Texas, when, we used to ride our horse to the gas station, time up on a handicap sign, right? Like, this is like a true story, for real. So that's like how I grew up. And then, obviously, like 20 years later, I like go back to visit Houston, and it's like a completely different place, right? All the pastures are gone, all the cows are gone. There's like apartments everywhere. The culture is different because there are a lot of transplants. So like the way we grew up, it wasn't the same culture, I would have to the ropes, if you will, and then I'm out here in Richmond. It's a smaller city, and it kind of reminded me of what Houston kind of used to be. Definitely. So I'm not, you know, it is the South, right? But there are like cultural aspects of growing up Southern that Richmond doesn't necessarily have, but it is still the South, right? But it was so small, and you can just kind of skirt around the city like real fast. Whereas like back in Houston, you can get stuck in traffic for 2 hours at any time of day. 10 in the morning, 10 at night, 2 in the morning. Who's going places at 2 in the morning, right? That's traffic, bumper to bumper. I was like, man. So we were out here, and the family, we started growing some roots. My children started getting a little bit older. They made some friends, and I was just kind of tired of moving. We got a nice place out here, and I was like, this seems very much like home.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm from Atlanta, so I know what the traffic's like. So it any time of
Right.
day, because I get up for work at 3:45, and every traffic out there. Yeah, so it's yeah, and like you said, it's people gradually selling land off, and there's less and less trees, and it's becoming ridiculous that amount of apartments and like how many people out there that buying houses and stuff like that they keep cutting down everything. So it's definitely wild. So as far as you going all over the world, were there any barbecue out in different places where you went?
So I'm glad you asked. So the way people do meat, like when I was out in India, it's like a lot of open fire, tons of open fire stuff, right? Which grip, like the aspect of who I am, especially in the Marine Corps, everywhere you go is always going to be like the guy who's like, he's the grilling dude. That was me. I was always, my whole life, everywhere I went, every party I went to, I used to keep a travel case of like barbecue utensils. And it got to the point where like no one had to ask me. They just knew. Everyone knew when I showed up that I was gonna be the guy to do this. And then you went to Brazil, and they have like Churrascaria, tons of like open fire stuff there. And Uganda had, ironically, like they had I gotta admit, like I mean he beat me, But in my own defense, behind his restaurant, he's growing the herbs that he uses in the restaurant, and he's doing like on the table. Like there's like pigs, and then and customers, So you could like pick, I want that one, right? And like they processing everything
Wow.
there, and it's food really good too. So I got experience to a lot of different styles, a lot of different ways that people are, doing their processing, how they're taking food from, live animals, processing the animal to plating it. And lots of experience there in different cultures, the way they do it. And I think, honestly, that influenced the way, that we do a lot of our own processes now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's a big difference between fresh animals and ones we pull out the store. It's like a great difference. And a lot of people don't know because for those that don't go out the country and stuff, it's totally different than here because you don't see many cans being open and stuff like that. Everything is fresh over there that they eat and not from
Mm-hmm.
cans or bags and stuff like that. And it's a total different atmosphere in those different countries. And you can see how we're spoiled over here versus over there. And as far as the food that we eat, and you can tell that by the size of our refrigerators and stuff like that. We're bigger than other countries. Their refrigerators are not that big because they didn't not sitting there holding groceries in the refrigerator. A lot of stuff is fresh, so it makes a big
Right.
difference. Let's transition to how did you first of all, how long did you stay in the military? How many years?
A little over 20 years.
Oh wow. That's a long time. All right. So after you retired,
Yeah.
what made you go into wanting to be an entrepreneur?
So that was like, that's always just been who I am, right? The creativity and ability to be a creator, right? Like they're producers and consumers. I just come from a family of like producers. Like we make stuff. And as I like got ready to retire, I actually opened up my restaurant right before I retired. I run it. Really like trying to capture like what is like, the value of hard work, because I was really at the nexus of, do I want to stay at home and do nothing, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like, if you're going to stay at home, do nothing, right? It kind of was an option. And the issue I had with that is, what kind of example am I going to be, right? Because my children were too young to see the late nights, the early mornings, the deployment cycle, the, pursue the easier path is like someone that's not being very productive. And I think that was travesty. Hard work is what makes people valuable. Let's be someone who like doesn't do anything and then, contribute to society. So I needed to do something. And then thinking about it, I was like, I want to do something. What would I do for free? So if I was not compensated at all for anything I did, would I still do it? And I was like, the only things I really got like that is like, smoking barbecue. And, that's the principles and the pillars that the restaurant is founded on. The things that are important to me, I want to praise Jesus. I want to help people. I want to build buildings. I want to smoke barbecue. I was like, those are going to be my four things. That's what I'm going to do. And I already started, endeavor, because everywhere I got stationed in the Marine Corps, I there, and then I'm renovating property. We're, buy, renovate, rent, and like we're like keeping steady to that. So we got like quite a few like residential real estate holdings. The portfolio had got to the point where like again the kids wouldn't necessarily see like mom and dad out there, pulling up floors and breaking up tile and replumbing. Like we kind of transitioned beyond that point. I was like, I need to make sure like what hard work looks like. I love smoking barbecue. This is going to be one of the things that I'm going to do. And if I never made a dollar from it, I would truly enjoy it because, like, when God asked me, "Did you speak in nature?" I sponsor the Virginia War Memorial, official sponsor of those guys. I got a contract for providing all their food for the next 5 years and Christmas and tons of other things, right? Like, not to toot our own horn, but like being philanthropic in nature. So I was like, this is going to be the way I can do that. And obviously, if it's a business, the intention is to be profitable, right? It also just gives us the latitude to truly bless people really everywhere we go, because everyone isn't going to want to buy a car. Everyone isn't going to want to, get into a real estate syndication, but everybody's going to eat. So that'll be, the medium I use to share my gift with the world. So that's kind of how we came to that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, it's like I do this, and if I never get any money from it, I'm fine with that because I love barbecue and I love the people that I meet out in the barbecue world where I go to competitions or go to classes or anything like that. It's just a good community to me. And it's like right now I'm doing it for free. So if it happens to be that way, I mean, I'm fine with it, but I know it in the long run it reaches a lot of people and it motivates a lot of people. So I don't do it just only for me. I love the people I talk to and the stories, but I also want to help other people and motivate other people and boost them into where they need to go. And like you're doing it's like you say, you're doing for free, and that's the way you're supposed to go into doing things. If you'll do it for free, you're doing it for the community and other people. And God sees your heart and blesses you in the midst of that. And it's showing off by the results that you have from what you're doing. So, so do you have a food truck or do you have a stationary restaurant?
So here we go. Like I said, I would do it. I would do it for free, but we're here. We're here to be profitable. So the way the evolution of this restaurant worked, I started off in a rented space, ghost kitchen style. So everything was like go only. And when we opened up, I didn't know any restaurant ownership, right? I knew that I smoked the best barbecue around, hands down, can't beat me. Barbecue is one of those things, can't fake it, right? Like, doesn't matter if you're in a hurry, doesn't matter, you know, what type of money you're throwing at it. Did you go directly? You and so we started off in that ghost kitchen, and rent was pretty expensive, just to be honest. And I was like, man, I need to own I need to like first I need to control what my expenditures are and lower my overhead, because when we first opened, I was like losing money at a rapid pace. Real estate's easy, like ones and zeros, right? Like, I purchased at this price, this service. This is very simple. Restaurant ownership is like, especially while I'm still active duty, but then I thermometer on my pit. The first pit that we built was a silencer for naval gunship. I set out the baffles, welded it to a trailer with my buddy, fire management, right? And teaching people that craft and like customer service and their assistant was very difficult. So I was like, the next endeavor, I need to make sure that I control my overhead. It was 250 gallons what we started off with. I used to drive around with this 250-gallon pit, and people would always say stuff like, "Oh, you got a little food truck. You got a little. Oh, look at you got a little restaurant." And I'm from Texas. So I ended up a monster truck. I've seen you some pictures of it afterwards. But 6-door, 40-inch lifted F-350 on 54s, right? Crazy. So like we got like the truck, and then I was like, I need I was need to build a food trailer. So I built a food trailer around the truck. It's 40 feet long shipping container, 1,000-gallon offset, and the long of the food trailer lets down to a patio.
Mhm.
We can like pull up, open up the trailer, and it's 1,000-gallon offset trailer. So now when it snows, I just let the door up. And that came from when we were at the previous restaurant. I was sitting out there in the cold. It was snowing. I was sitting there outside, like watching my pit freezing. And I was like, I've been cold and hungry a long time. I was like, how am I cold and hungry in the restaurant? We got to do better. So, we ended up designing this food trailer where now you ain't got to sit out in the rain no more.
So how you got the exhaust going through the shipping container?
Through, yep, through the roof. So it's 2 stories. So you can walk up
Oh,
the spiral staircase and there's like a top floor, and then we got the exhaust that going through the top.
oh, that sounds cool and innovative too. 'Cause I've never heard of it. That's a good idea though. So the people you had working for
Sure.
you, were the people that you know, or just random folks that you had to interview?
So at the beginning, the downfall was you get spoiled working with Marines, right? Because you get used to saying, go do this. Yes, sir. And like that you're going to get this thing that you told people to do. And this was my first experience really dealing with civilians. And we would leave directions and people would not, they just wouldn't do it. But and like the quality of the product I was getting was very low at the beginning. And a lot of it obviously was my responsibility because the people I used to work with in the Marine Corps, you just expect like a certain level of output, right? Everyone's, working very diligently towards the same mission. Where in the civilian world, we pay by the hour. So what's the incentive for them to complete tasks? It really
Mm,
wasn't an incentive because you get paid by the hour. So there was that piece of it. And then, so here's the other piece. I hired some people I didn't know, they came in, they dressed the part, boom. Okay, we went through the interview, they it worked out. And I always needed help. And then I started like finding out, like some people that were working with me were like unhoused, right? I was like, how can I affect this? I can't save the whole world. Like you can save somebody's world, right? Change some one individual's world. So we ended up like getting a gym membership and telling them like, hey, listen, go to the gym, work out, do your thing, shower at the gym before you come to work, just to make sure like they're clean, right? Like make sure you always do your laundry. These happen, for like purposes, So when you start hiring people, whether business is slow or business is fast, there are people that are dependent on you to like pay their bills, and then there are other people that are dependent on you to continue to pay your rent at the restaurant because some of them ended up like working overnight just so they would have a place to be, especially in the wintertime because we had a couple real bad winters out here, and it was like we had one employee and like do the things that he wants to do, right? Like, scraping pans deep in the rest. I do it. And then he was like, boss, I don't even care how much. Like at first, you're grateful. Every penny matters in the beginning. And then you're like, why are you staying? Why are you staying there? And then one night I ended up having to come back and he was like, and we had a conversation about that. And he was like, I don't have anywhere to live. So as a result, I was like, hey, listen, man, you got every overnight shift, you know, 10 to 5, make sure I ended up like getting some thermos, so the people could tell what the temperature was because everybody couldn't just, know. But we started giving those dudes some like overnight stuff because it was like snowing and sleeting. And the more I realized like I'm like very loyal, but then the nature of like their circumstances, some of them would just disappear, right? Like they just show up one day and then just I never see again, never know where they went. Some of them were like transient and just making sure that we maintain, obviously the food quality was the thing, right? Because when you start talking like the health department, is everybody they doing the things they need to do that, obviously was very important, but just realizing what they're capable because we were taken out only in the beginning. You had to be a pit master, you had to be a line cook, you had to be able to bring food to the front. We didn't have like a ton of front of house responsibilities, but it was just very demanding environment. So we were kind of going through people at a pretty rapid pace for a while until we found like a team that had some synergy. I, started to understand what my responsibility was better as an owner and a restaurant manager. The better I performed, the better I was able to like hold it together. And, we ended up finishing out that lease, did a couple of events, and then transitioned over into the new restaurant. Like we built a team, and now I knew what I needed, right? Like I knew I needed a chef. I knew I needed like very specific functions to complement my own skill set. So we hired to that.
Okay. And did you have somebody teaching you, coaching you along the way, or did you just have to figure all this out on your own?
Smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And the more I started to research this, because I was like, I understand, like I do this for free, but like, how do I make this sustainable? Because at one point I was working 105 hours a week. Meat Jesus, black coffee, red man chewing tobacco. 105 hours a week is a real number. People that haven't put those types of numbers in, they don't think that it's real. Like they don't understand what it's like when you can't come home. My kids had to come see me at the restaurant. I was there before sunup, there after I got off work, just figuring out a way to do that better. And the more I delved into like the skill sets I needed, I figured out what my surfaces and gaps were. Like, what am I strong at? What am I weak at? And I started hiring to my weaknesses. And people that were like very structured and very rigid. They had a background in the culinary industry, and we were able to like really get blessed and find what we needed.
Okay. And could you run us through one of those 100-hour weeks, one of those days, how everything that you have to do? Because a lot of people don't really know what all goes into selling food like that. Because there's a whole part before you open up the truck and start selling. Could you just run through real quickly just some of the stuff that goes into that?
For sure. Wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get all your stuff ready because I was still active duty at this time. So we're getting up at 4 in the morning, getting over to the restaurant, making sure that all your sides are prepped, all your sauces are prepped. And this is like stuff that you have to have, but it was the things that weren't directly generating income. So I couldn't at that time afford to have labor do it because we weren't making the money to make it to justify it. Filling sauce cups, making sure that all of the things are put in their location. For our cold hold stuff, make sure it's in the making sure that it's in its proper location in the refrigerator, labeled, date, time, produce, all that, size and stuff like that, right? And then making sure that all your barbecue that's going on is prepped, it's ready. Because at that time I was opening the restaurant at 5:30 p.m. Right, so I'm there at 4:30 a.m. getting all this stuff ready. Each season it's in the walk-in. It's been marinating. And we had a rotation because we're marinating for like 4 hours, right? So making sure that all that's being rotated so we know what's supposed to go on. Then we would have like a crew come on at lunch because then when all that changed and I'm going to work in the Marine Corps. They're starting the fire, doing all the things they needed to do in that aspect, making sure, last minute, necessity is stocked. And then everything is put on a smoker, right? So then I get off work at 4:30. I'm changing over, putting on my barbecue gear, heading straight to the restaurant, and we're closing down at midnight. So after we close at midnight, starting to clean up, and like by that time, and I'm there till midnight, right? Now, mind you, I got to get back up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like 3 hours of sleep every day for a long time. For a long time, man, it was rough.
Yeah, that's wild. How long did it take you to get the people working for you standards up to, as far as, because there's a difference between you cooking and then you having somebody else to cook your product. How long did it take for them to make the product at least close to what you're doing?
So it took 6 months. It took like 6 months, and a lot of oversight, right? And it was like a lot of, okay, I started it when it gets to this temperature, right? Like if you come outside, dip down below just really being forced to because I just, find a way, right? And that's what we did. And they would like call me and like, okay, so this is what the temperature is at right now. And I'm like, okay, all you got to do, open the damper, add 1 block of wood. And then I had a cowboy hat. We fanned the fire with it a little bit to make sure the fire catch and we don't get like no dirty smoke out there. And like, all right, just fan it a little bit. I could like look at it and tell. That was my gift, right? I was like, let me see the exhaust. Okay. All right, you burning blue. We good. All right, just keep it right there. Come out and check it every 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know when you leave, I know in your head you probably like, are they doing what they're supposed to do and all that? Because you leaving
Right.
your dream in somebody else's hands while you're gone, and believing in them that they're going to do what they're supposed to do and keep up the standards and stuff like that. Let's run through your menu, some of the things you have on your menu, because I know I've seen some unique things on there, but can you run through some of the stuff on your menu?
Absolutely. I got smoked beef dino ribs, which is a fan favorite, smoked beef short ribs, pork ribs, smoked reverse seared lamb chops, whole alligators, we smoke those,
Oh, wow.
ostrich legs, we got smoked mac and cheese, candy yams, collard greens. Fan favorite is our triple B. It's a brisket,
Oh,
which
wow.
is like our take on baked beans. It's great. It's real good. And the brisket sandwiches, pork sandwiches, coleslaw, potato salad, red skin potato salad. So, and then there's like the things that we do, like steamship round, which is a cow leg. We got those as well. And really, as we continue to evolve, it's like doing things that are just unique. We're gonna have some smoked rattlesnake coming up pretty soon, and just I got a 1,000 gallon smoker. I can generally just smoke just about anything I want on it. So at some point, like in the near future, we're probably gonna have a whole ostrich on there. Things.
Where y'all getting these ostriches and stuff from?
I,
Y'all got a
I got a
butcher
I
or?
got a buddy I got a buddy of mine who owns an ostrich farm, also a Marine. So he owns an ostrich farm, and I'm getting them from him.
So, how does ostrich meat taste? Is it gamey or does it taste like
So it
chicken
could
or
be gamey.
pork?
It could be gamey, but this is the process we take it through: cleaning it, seasoning it, marinating it. Once we take it on that long smoke ride, by the time we come out on the other end, like you won't taste anything gamey. Like we in the industry, it's a lot of things that you can see that people like. A lot of pit masters, it's like, oh, that's overcooked or this, that. But at the end of the day, you got to produce the type of food that your customers like. And there'll be things that they don't know that they like that you'll introduce them to. Like when I hit them with the alligator, I'm from Texas. We eat alligator all the time. Like we're right next to Louisiana. But out here on the East Coast, that is not what they do out here until I got here. So just introducing them to it, really.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people is used to certain stuff, so a lot of people, to be honest, is used to overcooked food. They say the tender stuff, but if you overcook it, it's gonna fall off the bone. But there's a place between cooking it just right and overcooking it, and people don't know that. But if you're used to eating one thing, it's gonna be good to you because that's what you're used to. And by
Right.
people like you and other pit masters that know how to do it correctly, it introduced them to how it's done correctly and how it's supposed to taste. And then they'd be like, okay, when they go somewhere else, because me, I go somewhere all the time, be like, yeah, this brisket ain't good. Everybody be swearing,
Right.
this is good. This is
Right.
no. If you done had some of the brisket I done had, this ain't it.
I agree. And at the end of the day, it, it is making sure that your customers enjoy it. You make something you feel this is the way your customer base doesn't enjoy it, then what are you really doing, right? So it's finding that balance. I want to introduce them to things that they're not familiar with, but I'm doing it slowly, and like they're starting to trust me, right? Like my customers trust me. If I tell them like, hey, look, I'm gonna let you sample it for free. I'm like, I don't know, but I mean, the last thing I had was real good, so but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like I said, it's introducing it slowly and making sure that the customers and really truly enjoy what they get. Because At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is to put a smile on folks' face, make sure they leave, know they're cared about, they got full bellies, full spirits. That's what we do.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's what we tell you, do it for the people and what they think about you. That's, you could think your barbecue is good, but hearing it from somebody else is the ultimate compliment. You can tell yourself all day that your stuff. Everybody think their barbecue is good, but it takes other people to tell you your barbecue is good to stamp that thought of yourself. So it's definitely true.
Proof's in the pudding,
That,
know.
exactly.
And I
So
think
how do you go ahead?
I was gonna say, when we look back at the reviews, our customers are very loyal. But like I tell folks, if I see you once a barbecue I give people, when I meet them, I tell them, like, this is gonna be the best barbecue you ever had in your life. And like, people think that I'm playing, and I'm like, I do this professionally. Like, I understand that, like, a lot of people smoke pork butt sometimes. I'm like, great, but like, and I'm not knocking anybody, right? Like, perfecting the craft. And there's a difference between smoking 100 pounds of meat one time, right? I think it's to really be considered a craft, right? So just producing that very, very high quality consistently, understanding like like, have we ever had a bad play? I have, right? Did I learn from that? I did. And making sure that we input into the systems and processes to make sure like that doesn't happen again, because especially at the beginning stages, there are constraints, there are time constraints, break. I've had generators power go out, I lost propane, the line got messed up, right? Like all the things. But at the end of the day, can you produce a high quality product better than the next closest thing the customer has ever had, regardless of what constraints you're going through? Because they don't care, oh, why did the power go out in your food trailer? Like, no one cares. They paid you to get a high quality level of food. So that's the responsibility, the burden of ownership.
Yeah, it's definitely true because it's a lot to go into it. Is that people don't think of, as well as serving the food, but you got the equipment and having to do stock, as well as the payroll and all this other stuff. Do your wife and kids help out or anything as far as the restaurant or anything?
For sure. So at the last location, like, my wife is like part of the lunchtime crew. You know, she has a cleaning service, and she would come in and deep clean my restaurant every day, and she did for like a year, and until we finally got staffed to the point where like we didn't necessarily need her to do that. And my kids, they're pit masters in training. They got shirts, like they're doing fire management, also doing like hosting. So they're greeting customers. And not right now because it's wintertime, but come spring, summer, they're like seating customers, entertaining them because they're characters. Um, they really are, and they're really good at it too. So we have our flagship right now, which is our 40-foot, and every franchise will have a 40-foot, a 20-foot, and a 10-foot food trailer, and that'll be one franchise unit. So the way we're looking to grow is 20 franchises over the next 10 years, and then I'm gonna sell the business. That's like our path. And if I sell it to my children, that's up to them. If they want to buy it from me, if they don't, then I'm gonna sell it either way, and likely just keep my flagship here, and making sure that they understand every aspect of the business, because I mop floors, I do dishes, and they'll grow up in the business. They'll be so familiar with it that in the next 5 years, like, they'll be able to like run the line by themselves, right? Because we do this every day. So the kids definitely are still going to be a huge part of it. I did it for them. So at the end of the day, my children won't need to like go ask somebody for a job. Whatever their skill set is, I'm going to make sure they have a place in the company to do that. Like, the whole philosophy on the back end of this is to create a vision so big that everyone's dreams can fit inside of it,
Mm.
right? Success is a team sport. Regardless of what your function is, I'm going to make sure that you can fulfill your wildest dream and still have that nested within my dream, right? So we're all still pulling in the same direction. There's synergy, and we're all aligned in that nature.
Okay. And what's your favorite meat to cook?
My favorite thing to cook,
Mm-hmm.
beef ribs, hands down. Love it. Again, from Texas, we're big beef cattle guys out there. And ironically, like I can't even eat a lot of the things I cook just because I produce it at such a high volume and I have for so long. Like I can't eat my pork ribs. I just can't. And I like keep certain seasonings that I don't use in the restaurant, and I keep those seasonings because it'll make it different. That way, I'll be able to eat it. But like, I can always eat brisket and beef ribs every time. Like, it's always going to be like very near and dear to my heart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. All right. And where do you see Dress Blue Barbecue in the next 5 years?
Glad you asked. So our our target demographic is not actually Richmond. We're here. We did some testing here. We're definitely going to go international. So in the next 5 years, we definitely will be for sure. We're already kind of broaching that portion right now. We partner with a company called Hot Logic. So Hot Logic creates thermal lunch boxes. So we're not just giving like frozen dinners and like frozen meals. We're giving like a complete solution. So we just finished up shooting a commercial for that actually. So we got that out there, and we're getting ready to start pushing that. So we'll have frozen meals to coincide with our franchise model, and that's gonna take us overseas.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, when we looked at it, it's not about getting 10% of the market in which we reside. It's about getting 10% of the global market.
Yeah, that's what it starts with, the game plan. Definitely, you got it together. So I wish you the best of luck on that. I'm gonna play a quick game with you that I play on every episode and get you out of here. In college basketball, they have a tournament. So what I did is a tournament bracket of 16 meats that you cook on the grill. Tell me which one that you like the most, and we'll keep going through the tournament. But I pretty much know where it's gonna end up at. All right, round one is lamb versus brisket.
Oh, that's you gonna start off with the Super Bowl. So that's actually a very hard one, but I'm gonna defer to my brisket.
All right, smoked ham versus sausage.
Sausage, smoked sausage,
All right, smoked turkey versus beef ribs.
beef ribs,
All right, next one is barbecue shrimp versus hamburger.
barbecue shrimp,
Okay, pork chop versus smoked chicken.
ooh, smoked chicken,
Okay, smoked bologna versus pork ribs.
pork ribs,
Okay, hot dog versus pork belly.
pork belly,
Okay, and steak versus burnt ends.
steak,
Okay, next round, brisket versus sausage.
brisket,
All right, beef ribs versus shrimp.
beef ribs,
All right, chicken versus pork ribs.
smoked chicken,
Okay, and pork belly versus steak.
steak,
All right, final four, brisket and beef ribs.
ooh, beef ribs,
All right, chicken versus steak.
steak,
Okay, and steak versus beef ribs.
beef ribs is the winner.
Yeah, I already knew what the winner was, but it's just fun getting there. All right. I appreciate you coming on the show. Your therapy session is over. If you can give any website or any shout outs or anything you want to promote, you can definitely do that at this time.
Absolutely. Our website is Dress Blue BBQ. Feel free to check us out there. We got merch on there. And you can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Dress Blue Barbecue.
Yeah, I saw the picture of your truck. I was like, that bug is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, we just be tiptoeing.
Well, I can get like 2 miles a gallon.
Three. 3 miles a gallon.
Wow. But I definitely appreciate you coming on the show and giving your story and sharing your time. It was definitely good information that you gave out, but I'm definitely going to check back with you. And if I ever get in that area again, because I actually, let's see, I think I went from Virginia to a class. But if I ever come around the area, I'm going to definitely come check you out, though.
Absolutely. Always welcome, brother.
But also, if you get got a couple of pictures of the restaurant, I love this. You can text them to you. You got my number, but send me a couple of pictures. I want to see how it look. It's a very interesting concept, so I would definitely like to see how it look.
Absolutely. I'll send it to you.
All right, but on that note, we'll see everybody next episode.
I built something onto my podcast that every barbecue brand should be a part of. It's called the BBQ Therapy Smoke Showdown Bracket. 16 meats you cook on the grill go head to head, and every guest picks their winner. It's one of the most engaging parts of the show. Every guest plays, and every listener loves it because no two brackets are the same. Now I'm opening it up for a presenting sponsor, meaning your brand becomes part of the segment every single show. This isn't just an ad, this becomes part of the show. And if you're interested, reach out to Tavis Bryant at barbecuetherapypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another therapy session. And remember, like, follow, and subscribe to help the barbecue therapy community. And also visit our website at www.barbecuetherapypodcast.com.